Welcome back to Worlds of Prothika audiobooks. And if this is your first time, be warned. Once you step into Prothika, you'll never want to leave. With beasts who will stop at nothing to protect the women they love, and women who are only just finding out what a real man can be, you'll lose yourself in the dark romance of these fantasy stories. To bring you these free full audiobooks, we have to listen to this platform's guidelines, and they say that Prothika's steamiest scenes aren't allowed. But you can still get them from the unabridged version of any Prothikan audiobook. All you have to do is go to worldsofprothika.com. With promo code YouTube30, we're offering you the opportunity to get 30% off of any audiobook, ebook, or bundle. We appreciate you subscribing to the channel, as it makes bringing these free full audiobooks to you possible. Don't forget to like and comment to let us know what you think. Prothika's magic is eternal, and this story is just the beginning.
Chapter 1. Alexei. I stand among the crowd of Reckon, my skin tingling with anticipation. The air crackles with an energy I've never felt before, making the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. We stand on the edge of Oshta, having just been portaled from Earth to this new planet, Prothika, by our god, Akeldama. When I first made, I wasn't sure I believed what Nyx had told me. She said that she was mortally wounded on the night of the winter solstice. But after she was attacked, she stumbled into the Stonehenge, and magic saved her. Akeldama appeared before her, gifting her powers of healing, magic, strength, and immortality, along with our wings, and the need to feast only on blood. He made her the first Vraken, and told her to make more, and he returned 1 year later to bring all of his children here, to his planet that he made for us. Now we are here. Nyx stands at the center of our gathered crowd, everyone on edge now. We're all waiting for her instruction. Her presence alone commands attention, but tonight there's something different about her. Her eyes, usually pitch black, now swirl with flecks of silver. Her long hair, a cascade of midnight and starlight, whips around her as if caught in an invisible storm. She raises her arms and the ground beneath us trembles. I instinctively brace myself, my muscles tensing. Suddenly, tendrils of darkness shoot from her fingertips, coiling and twisting in the air like living shadows. "Wow," I mutter under my breath, unable to tear my eyes away. The shadows solidify, taking shape into grotesque, writhing creatures. They hover around Nyx, their forms constantly shifting and reforming. My stomach churns at the sight, a mix of awe and revulsion washing over me. Nyx's wings unfurl, their span seeming to stretch impossibly wide. With each beat, waves of pure energy pulse through the air. I feel it in my bones, in my blood, a call to something primal and terrifying. She turns her gaze to the crowd, and for a moment her eyes lock with mine. In that instant, I see eons of power, of secrets hidden since the dawn of time. My knees nearly buckle under the weight of that stare. "This is who we are," Nyx declares, her voice echoing with otherworldly power. "This is what we're capable of." The shadow creatures disperse, melting into the ground. In their place, flowers of darkness bloom, their petals made of night itself. The scent that fills the air is intoxicating, a mix of earth and starlight. I struggle to process what I'm seeing. Since my transformation, I thought I understood the limits of our abilities. But this is beyond anything I could have imagined. It's beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. Around me, I hear gasps of wonder and fear from my fellow Vraken. Some fall to their knees in reverence, while others take a step back, their faces a mix of awe and terror. As the display reaches its crescendo, Nyx raises her arms once more. The flowers of darkness rise into the air, swirling around her in a dizzying dance. Then, with a clap of her hands, they burst into a shower of starlight that rains down upon us all. I feel the cool touch of that light on my skin, and it's like nothing I've ever experienced. Its power, pure and unfiltered, seeping into my very being. For a moment, I glimpse the vastness of what we could become, and it leaves me breathless. I feel it too, the magic coursing through my veins like liquid fire. It's intoxicating, this raw power that Nyx has awakened in all of us. My skin tingles, every nerve ending alive with potential. Without thinking, I let it loose. The magic surges from my fingertips, a torrent of midnight blue energy that dances and spirals around me. It's exhilarating, like nothing I've ever experienced before. I laugh, the sound foreign to my own ears. Wild and unrestrained. Around me, other Vraken are doing the same. The air is thick with magic of every hue imaginable. Tendrils of crimson intertwine with wisps of emerald green. Bolts of lightning-white magic crackle overhead while pools of inky darkness swirl at our feet. Unbelievable, I breathe, watching as a nearby Vraken conjures a swarm of shadowy butterflies from thin air. They flutter around her, their wings leaving trails of stardust in their wake. My gaze is drawn to Akeldama, our creator, our god. He moves among us, his form shifting and changing with each step. One moment he's a towering figure of smoke and flame, the next a lithe creature of shadow and starlight. He changes into people I know, and ones I've never seen. His grin is constant, though, wide and mischievous as he watches his children revel in their newfound power. As he passes by me, our eyes lock. In that instant, I feel a surge of something. Pride. Approval. Whatever it is, it makes my magic flare even brighter. I raise my hands, letting the energy flow freely. It forms into shapes, first a wolf, then a dragon, then something entirely alien that I have no name for. Each creation lasts only moments before dissolving back into pure magic, but the thrill of creation is addictive. Laughter and shouts of joy echo around me as my fellow Vraken discover what they're capable of. Some are creating intricate illusions, others are manipulating the elements themselves. One particularly daring Vraken has even managed to open a small portal, though it snaps shut almost immediately. Through it all, Akeldama watches, his ever-changing eyes gleaming with satisfaction. This is what he wanted, I realize. This chaos, this unbridled expression of magic and power. We are his children, and we are finally coming into our birthright. But suddenly, Akeldama turns his head. An unsettling grin spreads across his face as he stares. Looks like the others have been having fun too, he says cryptically. I follow Akeldama's gaze, my heart pounding in my chest. The euphoria of our magical display fades as I take in the sight before us. In the distance, imposing figures loom on the horizon, their forms shimmering with power that rivals even Akeldama's. What? I mutter, my eyes widening. Are those gods and goddesses? Akeldama confirms, his voice a low purr of amusement that seems to twist all around us. I scan the gathering, trying to make sense of what I'm seeing. There are 12 in total, and I realize that they are not unlike Akeldama himself. Each deity seems to radiate a different energy, some fierce and warlike, others serene and mysterious. But it's not just the gods that catch my attention. Among them, I spot figures I've never encountered before. What are those? I ask, gesturing towards a group of gray-skinned beings. They're tall and lithe, with an otherworldly grace that sets them apart from anything I've seen on Earth. Akeldama's grin widens, revealing teeth that seem just a bit too sharp. It seems they've been busy while I was away. I study the creatures more closely. Despite their alien appearance, there's something familiar about them. The way they move, the gleam in their eyes. It reminds me of us, of the Vraken. Did the gods create them? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. Akeldama nods, his form shifting subtly. For a moment he looks almost like one of the creatures before settling back into another figure I once knew. Indeed, they did. It seems I'm not the only one who can play at being creators. His lips curl up into a grin. Dark elves, he says quietly, almost like he is answering one of the others. Are they talking to each other now? Have we been made as pawns in the game of gods? I don't have time to ponder that, as the implications of his words hit me like a physical blow. We're not alone here. We're not the only powerful beings on this planet. And from the way the gods and dark elves are eyeing us, I have a feeling they're not thrilled about our...
Chapter 2. Alina. I jolt awake, my head throbbing and my vision blurry. The ground beneath me feels wrong. It's not the soft sand of the Greek beach I remember. It's rough, scratching against my skin. What the... I blink rapidly, trying to clear my vision. As the world comes into focus, my breath catches in my throat. This isn't Greece. This isn't anywhere I've ever seen before. The sky above me is a deep, unnatural purple, swirling with clouds that look more like smoke. And there, hanging impossibly in the air, are 2 moons. 2 whole moons. No, 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 I mutter, scrambling to my feet. My legs feel weak, like I've been asleep for days. This isn't real. It can't be real. I spin around, taking in my surroundings. The landscape is alien, dotted with twisted, gnarled trees that look more like sculptures than living things. In the distance, I see mountains that seem to defy gravity, their peaks curling inward like massive claws reaching for the sky. My heart races, pounding so hard I can feel it in my throat. This has to be a dream, right? Some kind of hallucination. But the air I'm breathing feels too real, carrying scents I can't even begin to describe. And the ground. I look down, then around. I'm in a damn cage. I barely notice the other humans around me as panic rises in my chest, threatening to overwhelm me. The last thing I remember is walking along the beach in Greece, the warm sun on my skin, the sound of waves. How did I get here? Where even is here? I wrap my arms around myself, suddenly aware of how vulnerable I am. I'm still wearing my sundress from the beach, but it offers little protection against the chill that's settling into my bones. Think, Alina, think, I mutter to myself, trying to stay calm. But how can I stay calm when everything around me screams that I'm not on Earth anymore? The 2 moons mock me from above, a constant reminder that I'm so far from home I can't even comprehend it. I'm yanked from my panicked thoughts as the cage door creaks open. A harsh voice barks out commands my muffled sense don't hear, but as everyone else moves, the meaning is clear. Get out. My legs shake as I stumble forward, nearly tripping over my own feet. The other humans around me look just as terrified and confused as I feel. We're herded like animals toward what looks like some kind of holding pen in the distance. What's happening? I whisper to no one in particular, my voice trembling. No one answers. We're all too scared to speak. As we walk, I catch glimpses of our captors. My breath catches in my throat. These creatures. They're not human. They almost look like it, but they are pale and gorgeous with massive wings folded against their backs. But it's what they're doing that really makes my heart stop. One of them raises a hand, and I swear I see flames dancing across their fingertips. Another gestures, and the earth itself seems to ripple in response. Magic, I breathe, the word feeling foreign on my tongue. That's magic. A woman next to me lets out a choked sob. This can't be real, she whimpers. We're dreaming. We have to be dreaming. But we're not dreaming. The rough ground beneath my bare feet, the acrid smell in the air, the bone-deep chill that's settled into my body. It's all too real. I watch in horrified fascination as one of the winged creatures lifts off the ground, soaring over our heads with impossible grace. Their wings catch the strange light, shimmering like oil on water. "Move faster!" one of them shouts in heavily accented English, shoving a man who's fallen behind. The creature's hand glows with an eerie blue light, and the man yelps in pain, stumbling forward. I force myself to keep walking, even as my mind races. Magic is real. These beings, whatever they are, they can control the elements, fly, and God knows what else. And they've brought us here, to this alien world with its purple sky and twin moons. Why? What do they want with us? The holding pen looms closer, and dread settles in my stomach like a lead weight. Whatever's waiting for us in there, I know it can't be good. I stumble as I'm shoved into a crowded holding area, my bare feet scraping against the rough ground. The stench of fear and sweat assaults my nostrils, making me gag. All around me, humans huddle together, their eyes wide with terror and confusion. "Watch it," a man growls as I bump into him. His face is gaunt, his clothes torn and dirty. "Sorry," I mutter, trying to find a spot to stand without touching anyone. It's impossible. We're packed in like sardines, bodies pressed against each other in this nightmare of alien captivity. A strange sensation washes over me, like static electricity dancing across my skin. I shake my head, trying to clear it. Must be the stress, I tell myself. But it doesn't stop. If anything, it intensifies. "Does anyone know where we are?" I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. No one answers. Some just stare blankly, while others shake their heads. Another wave of something hits me. This time, it's not just a physical sensation. For a split second, I swear I can feel the fear radiating off the people around me. It's like a visible aura, pulsing and swirling. I blink hard, and it's gone. "Get it together, Alina," I mutter to myself. "You're losing it." A woman nearby starts to sob, the sound cutting through the eerie silence. As I turn to look at her, another flash hits me. This time, I don't just see her fear, I see flashes of her memories. A small apartment, a cat curled up on a windowsill, the smell of coffee brewing. I jerk back, gasping, "What the hell is happening to me?" "Hey, you okay?" a young man asks, reaching out to steady me. The moment his hand touches my arm, I'm hit with another vision. This time, I'm nearly bowled over with waves of energy, flooding me with the emotions around me until I'm trembling, holding back vomit. I pull away, my heart racing. "I'm fine," I lie, my voice shaking. Just tired. These can't be real. They're hallucinations, that's all. My mind trying to cope with this impossible situation. But as I stand there trying to calm my breathing, I can't shake the feeling that something fundamental has changed. Not just in my surroundings, but in me. I take a deep breath, trying to center myself. My scientific training kicks in, a desperate attempt to make sense of this insanity. I focus on the alien landscape around us, my eyes darting from one bizarre sight to another. The trees, if you can call them that, are unlike anything I've ever seen. Their trunks twist and coil like serpents, bark a deep indigo that seems to shimmer in the strange light. The leaves aren't leaves at all, but more like translucent scales that rustle with an almost metallic sound when the wind blows. My gaze shifts to the ground. The soil is a rich, dark red, almost like rust. Small, iridescent creatures scurry between the twisted roots of the trees. They look like a cross between beetles and crabs, their shells gleaming with an oil-slick rainbow of colours. 6 legs, I note absently. Exoskeleton. Arthropods maybe, but nothing like Earth's. A memory hits me like a punch to the gut. My lab at the university in Munich, the smell of antiseptic and the hum of equipment. I was working on my thesis, studying the effects of environmental stress on gene expression in fruit flies. It seems like a lifetime ago now. I see my parents' faces, pride shining in their eyes as I explained my research over dinner. My mother, always practical, asking how it could be applied to her work in oncology. My father, the philosopher, musing about the ethical implications of genetic manipulation. God, what I wouldn't give to be back in that moment. The warm glow of the dining room light, the taste of my mother's homemade moussaka, the sound of my father's deep, rumbling laugh. Tears sting my eyes as the reality of my situation crashes over me again. That life is gone. Everything I've worked for, everything I've dreamed of. It might as well be on another planet, which I suppose it is. I look down at my hands, calloused from hours of pipetting and microscope work. What use are they here? What use is my knowledge of DNA replication and protein synthesis in this alien hellscape? A sob rises in my throat, but I choke it back. I can't break down. Not here, not now. I have to stay strong, stay focused. Maybe I can use what I know. Maybe understanding this world, its biology, its ecosystems, could be the key to surviving it. I force myself to look up again, to really see the alien world around me. The double moons hang in the sky like watchful eyes, casting an eerie glow over the landscape. In the distance, I can see what looks like a herd of something. 6-legged creatures with long, sinuous necks and skin that seems to change colour as they move. Adaptive camouflage, I whisper, my scientific mind latching onto this puzzle. But how? What's the mechanism? It's a pitiful attempt at normalcy, I know. Trying to apply earth science to this impossible place. But it's all I have. It's the only thing keeping me from screaming, from curling up in a ball, and giving in to the terror that threatens to overwhelm me. I was going to change the world with my research. Now, I'm just trying to survive in a world I don't understand. The irony would be funny if it wasn't so devastating.
Chapter 3. Alexei. I survey our rapidly developing settlement, marveling at how quickly we've transformed this alien landscape. Nyx's newfound magic pulses through the air, a tangible force that sets my teeth on edge and makes my skin prickle. It's exhilarating and terrifying all at once. Alexei, we need more support beams for the eastern wall, Brenda calls out, her voice strained as she manipulates a massive stone block into place. I nod, focusing my own magic to shape the raw materials around us. The power flows through me, an intoxicating rush that threatens to overwhelm my senses. I grit my teeth, forcing it to bend to my will. A series of thick, crystalline pillars burst from the ground, twisting and growing until they reach the desired height. Impressive, Nyx murmurs as she glides past, her wings casting flickering shadows in the eerie light of Protheca's twin moons. But don't lose focus. We're far from safe here. Her words send a chill down my spine. The memory of those distant godlike figures looms large in my mind. What are their intentions? And those gray-skinned beings, potential allies or enemies? I shake off the distracting thoughts and return to the task at hand. All around me, my fellow Vraken work tirelessly. Some are constructing elaborate defenses, others are fashioning weapons from the strange materials of this world. The air crackles with magic and purpose. In a secluded area, I catch glimpses of the human enclosure. Their fear is palpable, even from this distance. A pang of something flashes through me. Guilt? Sympathy? I push it aside. We need them. For sustenance, for potential new Vraken. It's the way it's always been. But as I watch a young woman with fiery red hair comfort a terrified child, I can't help but wonder, is this truly who we are? What we're meant to be? Less daydreaming, more building, Victor growls, shoving past me with an armful of shimmering metal spears. Those grayskins could attack at any moment. I nod curtly and throw myself back into the work. The base takes shape around us, a fortress born of magic and desperation. It's nothing like the grand cities we left behind on Earth, but it's a start, a foothold in this strange new world. As the first hints of dawn begin to color the alien sky, I allow myself a moment of quiet reflection. Everything has changed in the span of a few hours. The Reckon, once hunters in the shadows, now stand exposed in the harsh light of a new reality. And I can't shake the feeling that this is only the beginning. I'm jolted from my thoughts by a deafening roar that shakes the very ground beneath our feet. The air crackles with malevolent energy, and I watch in horror as massive bolts of lightning streak across the sky, slamming into our hastily constructed defenses. "We're under attack!" I shout, my voice barely audible over the chaos erupting around us. Nyx materializes beside me, her eyes blazing with fury. "The gods and goddesses," she hisses, "and those gray-skinned bastards. They're coming after us after Akeldama promised us a safe haven." I scan the battlefield, my mind racing. Our settlement is in disarray, Rakan scrambling to mount a defense against an enemy we barely understand. The magic we've only just begun to harness turns against us, warping and twisting under the onslaught of our attackers' power. I snap into action, my diplomatic training kicking in alongside newfound Vrakan instincts. "Brynda!" I shout. "Take a squad and reinforce the eastern wall. Raziel, gather our strongest magic users and focus on shielding the northern approach." They nod, springing into action without hesitation. I turn to Nyx, who's already summoning swirling vortexes of dark energy. "We need to buy time," I say. "Let me lead a counterattack." She fixes me with those swirling silver-black eyes. "Do it." I gather a group of our fiercest warriors, their faces set in grim determination. "Follow me," I growl, letting my wings unfurl. We take to the sky, magic crackling around us. The battlefield is chaos. Gray-skinned figures, dark elves as Akeldama called them, clash with our forces on the ground. Their magic is different from ours, chaotic and unpredictable. But we have the advantage of flight. "Hit and run!" I shout to my squad. "Don't let them pin you down!" We dive, raining bolts of Vrakan magic on the enemy lines. I feel a surge of pride as our attacks sow confusion in their ranks. But it's short-lived. A massive bolt of lightning arcs towards us, and I barely manage to throw up a shield in time. "Regroup," I order, leading my team back to our defenses. The dark elves press their advantage, their magic tearing into our hastily constructed walls. I land beside Nyx, panting. "We can't hold them off forever," I admit. She nods grimly. "We don't need to. Just long enough to..." A deafening crack splits the air. The ground beneath us trembles. And suddenly, a chasm opens between our forces and the attacking dark elves. Writhing tendrils of pure, magical energy erupt from the depths, forcing our enemies back. I stare in awe as Nyx lowers her hands, sweat beading on her brow. "A wild spawn," she gasps. "I've tapped into it. It won't hold forever, but it gives us time to regroup." The dark elves fall back, clearly wary of the pulsing magical barrier. I survey our battered defenses, already formulating plans for fortification. "Well done, Alexei," Nyx says, her voice carrying a note of respect I've never heard before. "Your quick thinking saved lives today." I nod, allowing myself a moment of pride. But as I watch the dark elves regroup in the distance, I know this is far from over. We've survived our first battle on Prothika, but the war has only just begun. I'm not sure where Akeldama has gone, but he has disappeared, and I try to swallow down the disappointment. The only thing keeping from overwhelming me is that the Dark Elves' gods didn't intervene either, like they'd rather watch their creation's war. Nyx quickly gathers a small group of us, ushering us away from the crowd. I follow quickly, my muscles aching from the recent battle. The air is thick with tension as our small group assembles. Brynda's fiery hair is singed at the edges, while Raziel's usually immaculate appearance is marred by dirt and blood. Nyx's voice cuts through the murmurs. "We need a plan, and we need it now." All eyes turn to me as I clear my throat. "We're facing a two-front war," I begin, drawing on my diplomatic training. "The Dark Elves on one side and our own survival on the other. We can't afford to lose a single Vraken in battle, but we also can't sustain ourselves without... I hesitate, the words tasting bitter in my mouth. Without the humans. Brynda scoffs. They're food, nothing more. I shake my head. They're a resource, yes, and as such, the Dark Elves will target them as a weak spot. They will keep us going, and, more importantly, they're our only source of new Vraken. Raziel nods slowly. He's right. We need to protect them, not just as food, but as our future. Nyx's eyes narrow as she considers this. What do you propose, Alexei? I take a deep breath. We fortify the human encampment, make it our most defensible position. It serves two purposes, protecting our food supply and creating a buffer zone between us and any future attacks. And who's going to oversee this? Brynda asks, her tone challenging. Nyx's gaze locks onto mine. Alexei will. You understand them better than any of us. You'll guard the encampment and manage our resources. I feel a knot form in my stomach. The thought of being so close to humans, of being responsible for their lives while also seeing them as food, it's almost too much. But I nod, accepting the assignment. As the meeting concludes and we file out, I can't shake the conflicting emotions roiling within me. I'm a Vraken now, but the memory of my humanity lingers. How will I balance the need to protect these humans with the instinct to feed on them? I make my way towards the human encampment, steeling myself for what's to come. The responsibility weighs heavily on my shoulders, but I know it's crucial for our survival. As I approach, their eyes flicker to me, fear and hope warring on their faces. This isn't going to be easy.
My parents sold me to the dark market.
I am the avatar of chaos, and nothing will stop me from fulfilling the prophecy.
Looks like you're the only one left. Take a step forward.
It's her. She's the woman from the prophecy. My key to godhood.
This is Delia. Starting price is 3 ducats.
You will wed soon and restore the Enoch family name.
Okay. I'll lower it down even more. 2 ducats. Who wants to buy Delia for 2 ducats?
She is my mate. Destiny has foretold it.
You don't know anything about me, and you want me to marry you?
You're nothing but a human toy to be used and discarded.
Hold on. How about 1 ducat? Does anyone want her?
A gilded cage is still a cage.
6 ducats. 6 ducats for Delia. I'll give you revenge on your parents if you marry me.
Okay, I'll marry you.
Godhood is mine for the taking.
Chapter 4. Alina. I huddle with the other humans, our fear palpable as the sounds of battle rage in the distance. The clash of weapons and otherworldly shrieks echo through the air, each new sound making me flinch. My mind races, trying to make sense of this alien world and the creatures that inhabit it. How did I end up here? One moment I was in Greece, the next, this nightmare. Suddenly, a group of grey-skinned beings with pointed ears rushes towards our enclosure. Their eyes gleam with malice, weapons raised high, catching the eerie light. Panic surges through me, my heart pounding so hard I can barely breathe. Without thinking, I thrust my hands out in a desperate attempt to ward them off, a scream caught in my throat. A rush of energy explodes from my palms. It's like nothing I've ever felt before, hot and cold at the same time, crackling with power that makes my skin tingle and my hair stand on end. The air around me shimmers and distorts, forming a translucent barrier between us and our attackers. I gasp, stunned by what I've done, but I don't dare lower my hands. The grey-skinned creatures slam into the barrier, their expressions changing from bloodlust to shock. They bounce off, stumbling backward. Some fall to the ground with grunts and curses, while others regain their footing and retreat, casting fearful glances over their shoulders. I stand there, trembling, my hands still outstretched, wondering what the hell just happened and how long I can keep this up. I stare at my hands in disbelief. They're tingling, small sparks of energy dancing across my fingertips. What the hell? I whisper, my voice shaking. The other humans around me gape, their eyes wide with a mixture of fear and awe. I feel their stares boring into me, and it only intensifies the surreal nature of what just happened. My mind struggles to process this new reality. I'm a scientist, trained to observe and analyze, but this defies all logic. Magic isn't real. It can't be. Yet the evidence is right here, literally at my fingertips. I flex my fingers, watching as small arcs of energy jump between them. It's beautiful and terrifying all at once. Part of me wants to explore this newfound ability, to understand its limits and potential. The rational part of my brain screams that this is impossible, that I must be hallucinating or dreaming. But the adrenaline coursing through my veins and the residual tingles of power tell me this is all too real. I've just performed magic. Me, Alina Nakamura, biotechnology student from Munich, has somehow channeled mystical energy to create a force field. As the implications start to sink in, a mix of emotions washes over me. Fear, excitement, confusion, and a strange sense of exhilaration. Whatever this power is, whatever it means, I know my life will never be the same. I glance around furtively, making sure no one's watching. The other humans are huddled in small groups, whispering amongst themselves. Perfect. I slip away to a secluded corner of our enclosure, my heart racing with anticipation and nervousness. Taking a deep breath, I hold out my hand, palm up. Okay, Alina, I mutter to myself. Let's approach this scientifically. Hypothesis: I can create energy at will. I focus, trying to recreate the tingling sensation I felt earlier. Nothing happens. Frowning, I shake out my hand and try again. This time I close my eyes, picturing the energy flowing through my body and out through my fingertips. A gasp escapes my lips as I feel a warmth spread from my chest to my arm. I open my eyes to see a small, pulsing ball of light hovering above my palm. It's beautiful, casting a soft glow on my skin. Hypothesis confirmed, I whisper, grinning despite myself. Now, let's test the variables. I spend the next hour experimenting. I discover I can change the colour of the light by focusing on different emotions. Anger turns it red, calm makes it blue. I can also alter its size and intensity with concentration. Next, I try to manipulate the energy in different ways. I manage to form a thin, whip-like strand that I can control with my thoughts. It takes several attempts, but eventually I succeed in using it to lift a small rock. Fascinating, I murmur, my scientific mind racing with possibilities. The energy seems to respond to mental commands. But what's the source? Is it drawing from my own body's energy, or tapping into something external? I decide to test my limits. I form the largest energy ball I can, sweat beading on my forehead from the effort. It grows to the size of a beach ball before I feel a sudden drain, like all my strength is being sucked away. The ball dissipates, and I slump against the wall, panting. Note to self, I gasp. There's definitely a physical toll. Need to be careful not to overexert. As I catch my breath, I start formulating a research plan in my head. I need to document everything, the sensations, the effects, the limitations. If only I had my lab equipment. A noise startles me, and I quickly compose myself as one of the other humans walks by. I can't let anyone know about this yet, not until I understand it better. As I rejoin the group, my mind buzzes with questions and theories. This power, this magic, it's real, and it's mine to explore. Despite the fear and uncertainty of our situation, I can't help but feel a thrill of excitement. There's so much to learn, so much to discover, and maybe, just maybe, it could be our key to survival in this strange new world. I shift uncomfortably as I feel the weight of expectant gazes turn to me. The other humans in our makeshift encampment gravitate towards me, their eyes filled with a mixture of hope and desperation. It's unnerving, to say the least. You stopped that creature. What do we do now? A middle-aged man asks, his voice trembling slightly. I open my mouth to respond, but the words catch in my throat. What can I possibly say? I'm just as lost and scared as they are. The only difference is this strange new power I've discovered, and I'm far from understanding it myself. I'm not sure, I admit, hating how uncertain I sound. We should probably stay alert and try to gather more information about our surroundings. A young woman steps forward, her eyes wide. But you protected us, that barrier you made. Can't you do more? I feel a flush creeping up my neck. I don't really know how I did that, I confess. It just happened. Murmurs ripple through the group, and I can sense their disappointment. It makes my stomach churn with guilt. These people are looking to me for answers, for safety, and I have no idea how to provide either. Look, I say, trying to inject some confidence into my voice. I know we're all scared and confused, but we need to stay calm and work together. Maybe if we pool our knowledge and resources, we can figure out a way to survive here. A few nods greet my words, but I can still see the doubt in their eyes. They want a leader, someone who knows what they're doing, and I'm painfully aware that I'm not that person. As the group disperses, I find myself cornered by an elderly woman. Her wrinkled hand grips my arm with surprising strength. "You have a gift, child," she whispers, her eyes boring into mine. "Don't be afraid of it. Embrace it." I swallow hard, unsure how to respond. Her words echo my own conflicted feelings about this newfound ability. Part of me wants to explore it, to understand its limits and potential. But another part is terrified of the responsibility it might bring. Or something even worse.
Chapter 5. Alexei. I approach the human encampment, my senses on high alert. The scent of fear and desperation hangs thick in the air, a constant reminder of the chaos we've thrust these mortals into. As I round a corner, movement catches my eye. I freeze, instinctively melting into the shadows. It's her, the dark-haired woman who's been causing quite a stir among the humans. Alina, I think her name is. She's tucked away in a secluded corner, hidden from prying eyes. Or so she thinks. My breath catches as I watch her extend her hand, palm up. A tiny flame dances above her skin, flickering and swaying. Her brow furrows in concentration, and the flame grows, pulsing with each breath she takes. Fascinating, I mutter under my breath. I've never seen a human wield magic before. It's unsettling. Alina closes her eyes and the flame shifts, morphing into a sphere of water. It hovers for a moment before collapsing, splashing onto the ground. She curses softly, shaking out her hand. "Damn it," she hisses. "Come on, focus." I lean in closer, intrigued by her determination. She takes a deep breath, centering herself. This time, when she extends her hand, a small rock lifts from the ground. It trembles in the air, wobbling as she struggles to maintain control. Her methodical approach strikes me. She's not just blindly throwing magic around. There's purpose in her movements, a scientific precision to her experiments. It's admirable in a way. The rock drops suddenly, and Alina lets out a frustrated sigh. But then she seems to calm herself, cocking her head as she thinks. "Subject seems to respond to emotional state," she mutters, my enhanced picking it from here. "Elemental affinities vary. Duration limited by concentration and fatigue." I find myself oddly impressed. In the face of impossible circumstances, she's applying logic and reason to the inexplicable. It's a stark reminder of the human capacity for adaptation. As I watch her continue her experiments, a nagging thought tugs at the back of my mind. If she can do this, how many others might be discovering similar abilities? And what does that mean for us? I step out from the shadows, my footfalls deliberately heavy to announce my presence. Alina whirls around, eyes wide with fear and defiance. The air crackles with tension, and I catch a whiff of her scent, an intoxicating blend that calls to me. My fangs instantly ache, and the needs for her swirls inside of me. I try to push it down, blaming it on hunger, but it feels different. I'm just not sure why. Impressive, I say, nodding towards her still outstretched hand. Most humans would be cowering in fear, not experimenting with magic. Alina's jaw clenches, but she doesn't back down. What do you want? I raise an eyebrow, amused by her bravado. To understand, you're not like the others. She snorts, crossing her arms. What, because I'm not sobbing in a corner? Because you're adapting, I counter, taking a step closer. You're studying the magic, trying to make sense of it. It's unexpected. Alina's eyes narrow, but I catch a flicker of curiosity in their amber depths. Everything about the situation is unexpected. I'm just trying to survive. I nod, respecting her honesty. And how's that going for you? She hesitates, then shrugs. Could be worse. I could be dead. A chuckle escapes me before I can stop it. Her dry humor is refreshing after the constant posturing of my fellow Vraken. True enough. Alina studies me, her gaze sharp and assessing. Why are you really here? Shouldn't you be off terrorizing the other humans or something? I shake my head, oddly stung by her assumption. We're not monsters, you know. Could have fooled me, she mutters. But there's less venom in her tone now. I take another step closer, drawn by some inexplicable pull. Her scent grows stronger, and I feel a strange tightening in my chest. I'm curious about you, Alina. Your approach to magic. Your resilience. It's unlike anything I've seen in a human before. She blinks, clearly surprised that I know her name. I'm just trying to understand what's happening to me. To all of us. I find myself leaning against a nearby tree, my guard lowering despite years of training. There's something about Alina that has put me at ease, a feeling I haven't experienced since before. I wasn't always like this, you know, I say, surprising myself with the admission. Alina's eyebrows raise, curiosity replacing fear in her amber eyes. What do you mean? I run a hand through my hair, memories I've long suppressed bubbling to the surface. I was human once, not too long ago, actually. Alina's jaw drops. You're kidding. Nope. I can't help but chuckle at her expression. I was a diplomat, if you can believe it. Worked for the Russian Foreign Ministry. Russia? Alina takes a step closer, her fear seemingly forgotten. I've always wanted to visit St. Petersburg. The mention of my home city sends a pang through my chest. It's beautiful. The Winter Palace, the canals. I used to love walking along Nevsky Prospect at night. I pause, lost in memories of snow-covered streets and glittering lights. I was in Rome when it happened. Cultural exchange program. 1 minute I'm admiring the Colosseum, the next. I trail off, the trauma of my transformation still raw. Alina's voice is soft when she speaks. How long ago? Almost a year, I admit. Sometimes it feels like yesterday. Other times like a lifetime ago. Alina nods, her eyes full of understanding. I can't imagine. Do you miss it? The question catches me off guard. I've never allowed myself to truly consider it before. Yes, more than I realized. We stand in silence for a moment, the weight of shared loss hanging between us. Finally, I clear my throat. What about you? What was your life like before? Alina's eyes light up, and for the first time I see a genuine smile cross her face. I was studying biotechnology in Munich. My parents... Her voice catches, and I resist the urge to reach out and comfort her. My mom's a doctor. My dad's a professor. They always encouraged my curiosity. As she talks about her studies, her family, her dreams, I find myself captivated. Her passion is infectious, reminding me of the drive I once felt in my own career. For a moment, I can almost forget the harsh reality of our current situation. But reality crashes back as a distant explosion shakes the ground. Alina flinches, fear returning to her eyes. I straighten instantly on alert. I know I should be reporting this human's magical abilities to Nyx, not chatting with her like we're old friends. And yet... We should get you back to the others, I say, my voice gruffer than I intend. It's not safe out here. Alina nods but hesitates. What about the magic? Are you going to tell them? I pause, torn between my loyalty to the Vraken and this inexplicable desire to protect her. I don't know. Her eyes search mine, and I find myself unable to look away. Please, she whispers. I need to understand what's happening to me. If they find out... The fear in her voice tugs at something deep within me, a part I thought long buried. I remember my own terror and confusion after my transformation, the feeling of being utterly alone in a world I no longer understood. I won't say anything, I hear myself say. For now. But you need to be careful. If others discover what you can do... Alina nods, relief washing over her face. Thank you. Alexei, I answer. Thank you, Alexei. The sound of my name makes something primal, and unhinges jump deep in my chest. I push the feeling aside, focusing on getting her to safety. As we walk back to the main encampment, my mind races. Everything I've been taught since my change tells me that humans are inferior. Nothing more than a food source or potential recruits. Only the strong can become a Vraken, and I should be proud to call myself one. But Alina, she's different. Her intelligence, her adaptability, her strength in the face of unimaginable circumstances. It's forcing me to question everything I thought I knew. I find myself wondering about the other humans. How many of them might have hidden depths, untapped potential? What will happen when someone finds out? What will happen to Alina? The conflict rages within me as we reach the edge of the camp. I should leave her here, return to my post, and forget this ever happened. But something holds me back. Alina, I say, catching her arm gently. She turns, those amber eyes locking onto mine. Be careful, and if you want to talk again... I trail off, unsure of what I'm offering or why. Alina gives me a small smile, and for a moment, I forget to breathe. I'd like that, she says softly. As I watch her disappear into the crowd of humans, I'm left with a gnawing sense of unease. My loyalty to the Vraken, my belief in our superiority, it's all being challenged by this one remarkable woman. And I'm not sure I'm ready to face what that means.
Chapter 6. Alina. I crouch behind a makeshift barricade, my heart pounding as the sounds of battle rage around me. The air crackles with magic, and the acrid smell of smoke burns my nostrils. It's been weeks since I first woke up on this alien world, and I'm still struggling to wrap my head around everything that's happened. A Vraken soldier stumbles past, his pale skin streaked with blood. His eyes are wild, desperate. We need more blood. The reserves are running low. I watch as he rushes off, shouting orders to his comrades. It hits me then. The Vraken aren't just fighting this war, they're struggling to survive it. Alina! Alexei's voice cuts through the chaos. He appears at my side, his dark eyes scanning me for injuries. Are you all right? I nod, unable to find my voice. Alexei's presence both comforts and unnerves me. He's been different lately, more attentive, more human. We're pulling back, he says, his voice low. The Dark Elves have breached our eastern defences. Who are they fighting against? I ask, my curiosity getting the better of me. Alexei's expression darkens. It's not just the Dark Elves. There are other forces at play here. Gods, creatures we've never seen before. Protheca is complicated. I process this information, my mind racing. And where do we, the humans, fit into all of this? He hesitates, and I see a flicker of something in his eyes. Doubt, guilt. It's not that simple, Alina. The Vraken need you, need us, to survive. But there are those who see humans as nothing more than a resource. His words chill me to the bone. I've suspected as much, but hearing it confirmed is another matter entirely. I think of the other humans, scared and confused, looking to me for answers I don't have. And what do you think? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. Alexei opens his mouth to respond, but before he can, another explosion rocks the ground beneath us. He grabs my arm, steadying me. We need to move, he says urgently. Stay close. As we hurry through the chaos of the Vraken settlement, I can't help but notice the strain on everyone's faces. Resources are clearly running low, food, weapons, even the magic that seems to sustain them. And yet they fight on. I realise then that I'm witnessing history in the making, a complex political and social struggle that will shape the future of this world. And somehow, impossibly, I'm caught right in the middle of it all. I huddle in a corner of the human encampment, my hands shaking as I try to focus on the small pebble in front of me. Sweat beads on my forehead as I concentrate, willing the stone to move. For a moment, nothing happens. Then, suddenly, it shoots across the ground like a bullet, embedding itself in the wooden wall with a loud thunk. Damn! I mutter, glancing around nervously. I need to be more careful. These outbursts of power are becoming more frequent and harder to control. A nearby woman eyes me warily. You okay, Alina? That was something. I force a smile. Just practicing. Nothing to worry about. But there's plenty to worry about. My abilities are growing stronger by the day, and I'm terrified of what might happen if I lose control completely. The last thing we need is for me to accidentally hurt someone, or worse, draw unwanted attention from the Vraken. As if summoned by my thoughts, I spot Alexei watching me from across the camp. His intense gaze seems to always be on me, and I have to wonder if he's kept my secret. I turn away, trying to appear nonchalant, but my heart is racing. I need to get a handle on this, and fast. Later that night, I sneak away from where the others sleep. With the constant attacks, our pen isn't very secure or much of a structure at all. It's the threats outside of them that keep us in here more than anything. The twin moons of Protheca cast an eerie glow over the landscape as I make my way to a secluded area far enough away from the huddled bodies. Here, I can practice without fear of discovery. I close my eyes, feeling the energy thrumming beneath my skin. It's intoxicating, this power. Part of me wants to let it loose, to see what I'm truly capable of. But the rational part of my mind, the scientist in me, knows that would be disastrous. Instead, I focus on small tasks, lifting leaves, creating tiny whirlwinds, warming the air around me. Each successful attempt fills me with a mix of excitement and dread. A twig snaps behind me, and I whirl around, my hand instinctively raised. A burst of energy explodes from my palm, scorching the ground where it lands. Impressive, a familiar voice says. Alexei steps out of the shadows, his eyes glowing in the moonlight. I freeze, caught between fight and flight. How long have you been watching? I demand, my voice shaking. He takes a step closer, and I resist the urge to back away. Long enough, he says softly. You're getting stronger, Alina, but you're also getting careless. I stare at Alexei, my heart racing. Have you told anyone? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. Alexei shakes his head, taking another step closer. Number, I'm here to help you, Alina. I laugh bitterly. Help me? Why would you want to do that? He reaches out, his hand hovering near my arm but not quite touching. Because you're different, special, and because... He hesitates, his eyes searching mine. Because I care about you. My breath catches in my throat. I want to believe him, but I can't shake the nagging doubt in the back of my mind. He's a Vrakan, and he seems to be important. How can I trust him? Why should I believe you? I challenge, even as part of me yearns to. Alexei's expression softens. I was human once, remember? I know what it's like to be thrust into this world, to feel lost and scared. Let me help you understand your powers. Control them. I bite my lip, considering. The offer is tempting, but dangerous. And what do you get out of this? He smiles, a hint of sadness in his eyes. A chance to remember what it was like to be human, to feel connected. Against my better judgment, I nod. Okay, but if this is a trick... It's not, he says firmly. I promise. Over the next few weeks, Alexei and I meet in secret. He teaches me to harness my abilities, to channel the raw energy into something more controlled. It's exhilarating and terrifying all at once. But it's not just about the magic. As we spend more time together, I find myself opening up to him. We talk about our past lives, our hopes, our fears. I learn about the complexities of Vrakan society, the pressures Alexei faces as a leader. And despite my best efforts, I feel myself falling for him. One night, as we sit beneath the alien stars, Alexei takes my hand. Alina, he says softly, I've never met anyone like you. I look into his eyes, seeing the conflict there. He's torn between his duty to his people and his growing feelings for me, and I'm just as conflicted. Alexei, I whisper. What are we doing? We can't. He leans in, his forehead resting against mine. I know, but I can't stay away from you. I close my eyes, breathing in his scent. It would be so easy to give in, to let myself fall completely. But the rational part of my mind won't let me forget the reality of our situation. I'm sitting alone, lost in thought, when a small group of humans approaches me. Their faces are etched with desperation and hope. My stomach twists as I realize what they're about to ask. Alina, a middle-aged woman says, her voice barely above a whisper. We've seen what you can do, your abilities. I tense, glancing around nervously. I don't know what you're talking about. A younger man steps forward. Please don't lie to us. We've all seen it. The way things move around you, the energy you control. You have magic. I close my eyes, taking a deep breath. There's no point in denying it now. What do you want? Help us escape, the woman pleads. Use your powers to break us out of here. We can't take it anymore. My heart races as I consider their request. Part of me wants to help them, to free us all from this nightmare. But the rational side of my brain screams warnings. And then what? I ask, keeping my voice low. Where would we go? The dark elves are out there, and they're even worse than the Vrakan. We'd be running from one captor to another. The young man's face hardens. At least we'd have a chance. It's better than waiting here to be picked off one by one. I shake my head, the weight of their expectations crushing me. You don't understand. The magic, it's not reliable. I can't control it well enough to guarantee everyone's safety. But you're learning, aren't you? Another woman chimes in. We've seen you practicing. Please, Alina, you're our only hope. Their words hit me like a physical blow. I think of Alexei, of the trust we've built. If I help these people escape, I'd be betraying him. But if I don't, am I betraying my own kind? I need time to think. I stammer, overwhelmed by the magnitude of their request. The group exchanges glances, clearly disappointed. Don't take too long, the middle-aged woman warns. We're running out of time. As they walk away, I'm left with a churning pit in my stomach. The weight of their lives, their hopes, rests on my shoulders, and I have no idea what to do. This huge orc brings out the animal in me.
In a world where humans have been driven underground, living like rats is the only way to stay safe from the marauding orcs.
All my life, my only job has been to make sure I have enough to eat.
These orcs of the Burning Sun clan will vow to keep their human mates safe.
There is a nobleness to these giant savages, alpha male warriors who will protect their women at all costs.
Get this complete series of books following the Burning Sun clan for 70% off. Each book is a full-length monster romance that features a giant orc with eyes for his beloved, curvy human. Happily ever after guaranteed.
Prothika's magic is eternal.
This bundle will show you that size really does matter. Chapter 7. Sutta. Alexei. The air crackles with tension as I stand at the front lines, my senses on high alert. The dark elves emerge from the shadows, their violet eyes gleaming with malice. I bare my fangs, feeling the rush of power coursing through my veins. Hold the line, I shout to my fellow Vraken. We've trained for this, but nothing can truly prepare you for the chaos of battle. The first wave hits us like a tidal wave. I duck under a swinging blade, my reflexes faster than any human's. My fist connects with an elf's jaw, sending him flying. But there's no time to savor the small victory. I reach for the magic within me, feeling it pulse beneath my skin. With a thought, I send a blast of energy toward a group of advancing elves. They scatter like leaves in the wind, some crying out as the force knocks them off their feet. An arrow whizzes past my ear, too close. I spin, spotting the archer perched in a nearby tree. My wings unfurl in an instant, and I launch myself into the air. The elf's eyes widen in shock as I close the distance in seconds. My hand wraps around his throat, and I hurl him to the ground below. Landing hard, I immediately have to parry a sword strike. The clash of steel rings out as I engage in a deadly dance with a skilled elven warrior. He's good, but I'm better. I feint left, then drive my blade through a gap in his armor. One down, countless more to go. A scream pierces the air, and I turn to see one of our younger Vraken overwhelmed by dark elf magic. Without thinking, I reach out with my own power, creating a shield around him. The elf's spell dissipates harmlessly against it. Thanks. The young Vraken gasps, regaining his footing. I nod, then dive back into the fray. My blade flashes in the eerie light of the battlefield, finding its mark again and again. But for every elf I cut down, 2 more seem to take their place. Suddenly, the ground beneath my feet begins to tremble. I leap back just as a fissure opens up, nearly swallowing me whole. Dark elf earth magic. Clever. I concentrate, drawing on the power flowing through me. With a grunt of effort, I send a shockwave through the earth, destabilizing the elves' footing. Several tumble into their own trap. The battle rages on, a blur of blood, magic, and steel, My muscles burn with exertion, but I push through the pain. Too much is at stake to falter now. A particularly powerful elf charges at me, his hands wreathed in crackling energy. I meet his assault head-on, our magics clashing in a brilliant display of light and force. The air around us warps and bends as we struggle for dominance. I grit my teeth as another wave of dark elves crashes against our lines. My muscles scream in protest, but I push through the pain. There's no time for weakness. A young Rakan stumbles nearby, overwhelmed by 3 elves. I leap to his aid, my blade slicing through the air. One elf falls, clutching his throat. The second turns to face me, giving the young Rakan an opening. He takes it, driving his sword deep into the elf's back. The third elf, seeing his companions fall, unleashes a torrent of dark magic. I shove the young Rakan aside, taking the brunt of the spell. It burns like acid, eating through my defenses. With a roar of pain and fury, I charge forward, tackling the elf to the ground. We grapple in the dirt, magic and fists flying. I feel his bones crack under my grip, but he doesn't yield. In the end, I have to crush his windpipe to stop him. As I rise, panting, I see a group of our warriors cornered by a platoon of elves. They're outnumbered and outflanked. I have a clear shot at the elven commander, but taking it would leave our people exposed. "Damn it!" I mutter, then shout to nearby Rakan. "With me! We need to break that line!" We charge as one, our wings carrying us over the battlefield. I dive into the fray, my blade finding flesh again and again. But for every elf we cut down, another takes their place. We're making progress, but it's slow, too slow. A scream of agony cuts through the chaos. One of our warriors falls, an elven spear protruding from his chest. Another follows, her head nearly severed by a vicious sword strike. The elven commander laughs, raising his staff high. Dark energy crackles around him, and I know he's preparing a devastating spell. Our people won't survive it. Time seems to slow as I weigh my options. If I strike now, I might take out the commander, but I'll leave my flank exposed. If I don't, we'll lose even more of our warriors. With a heavy heart, I make my choice. "Cover me!" I shout, then launch myself toward the commander. He sees me coming, his eyes widening in surprise. His spell goes wild, arcing over my head and into the melee behind me. I hear screams, both Vraken and elf, but I can't look back, not now. The commander raises his staff to block my strike, but he's too slow. My blade bites deep into his shoulder, nearly severing his arm. He howls in pain and rage, lashing out with his good arm. His fist connects with my jaw, sending me reeling. I recover quickly, ducking under his next swing. My blade flashes out, opening a deep gash across his stomach. He stumbles back, clutching the wound. I press my advantage, driving my sword through his heart. As the commander falls, I turn back to the battle. The scene that greets me is one of carnage. Bodies litter the ground, Vraken and elf alike. The spell he unleashed in his final moments tore through friend and foe without discrimination. I've won, but at what cost? How many of our people died because I chose to target the commander instead of protecting them? There's no time to dwell on it. The battle rages on, and I throw myself back into the fray. Each life I take weighs on me, each fallen comrade a wound on my soul. But I can't stop. Not until this war is won. I stand amidst the carnage, my body trembling with exhaustion and adrenaline. The metallic scent of blood hangs heavy in the air, mingling with the acrid smell of spent magic. Bodies litter the ground, dark elf and Vraken alike. My hands, still sticky with gore, shake as I try to wipe them clean. Well done, Alexei. Nyx's voice cuts through the haze of my thoughts. I turn to face her, struggling to maintain my composure. Her eyes, swirling with silver, study me intently. Your tactics turned the tide of this battle. I nod, not trusting my voice. The praise should fill me with pride, but all I feel is a deep, gnawing emptiness. Flashes of my human life intrude, diplomatic meetings, handshakes, the belief that words could solve conflicts. How naive I was. Thank you, Nyx, I managed to say, my voice hoarse. But the cost... She follows my gaze to the fallen Vraken nearby. War demands sacrifice, Alexei. You know this. I do know it, but knowledge doesn't ease the ache in my chest. I remember each of their faces, their names. In my mind, I see them not as the fierce warriors they were, but as the humans they once were. Just like me. We've learned something crucial today, Nyx continues, her tone grave. While we may be immortal, we are not invincible. The gods can end us permanently. A chill runs down my spine at her words. I'd witnessed it myself. A Vraken warrior, reduced to ash by a dark elf calling on divine energy. The finality of it was terrifying. So much for the gods not intervening. And the sun, I add, recalling the horrific sight of a Vraken caught in the open as their glamour failed. If we're weakened enough, it can... I grimace as I look down at the bodies blistered and ripped open by the rays. I've had sunburns before, but this is more like they'd been pulled from a burning building, bodies flayed open by the burns until their skin and muscle peeled away. And yet, those people still moan. Nyx will have to ask Akeldama to come give his children rest. Yes, Nyx nods, her expression grim. It can reduce us to practically nothing, a fate perhaps worse than true death. The implications of this new knowledge weigh heavily on me. Our immortality, once a source of comfort and strength, now feels more like a curse. The possibility of endless suffering trapped in a broken form is almost too much to bear. As I survey the battlefield once more, the true horror of our situation sinks in. We're caught between gods and mortals, with enemies on all sides. And now, even our own bodies can betray us.
Chapter 8. Alina. Too many Vraken were pulled to battle to even bother guarding the humans. Despite my plea not to, some fled, getting killed by dark elves immediately. Most stayed in the pen to avoid the same fate. With the battle now over, though, I slip out of the human encampment, my heart pounding in my chest. The chaos of the recent battle has left the Vraken's defences in disarray, and I seize the opportunity to explore. My feet carry me towards the medical area, guided by an instinct I can't explain. The smell of blood and magic hangs heavy in the air as I enter. Wounded Vraken lie on makeshift beds, their injuries ranging from minor cuts to gaping wounds. I swallow hard, fighting back the nausea that threatens to overwhelm me. "What are you doing here?" a gruff voice demands. I spin around, coming face to face with a Vraken guard. His eyes narrow suspiciously. I can help," I stammer, surprising myself with my boldness. "I have healing abilities." The guard scoffs, but before he can respond, a pained groan echoes through the room. Without thinking, I rush to the side of an injured Vraken. His arm is nearly severed, hanging by a thread of muscle and sinew. I place my hands over the wound, closing my eyes. The energy within me surges, flowing through my fingertips. I feel the torn flesh knitting back together, muscle and bone reforming under my touch. When I open my eyes, the arm is whole again, only a faint scar remaining. The room falls silent. I look up to see the guard and other Vraken staring at me in disbelief. Emboldened by my success, I move to the next patient, then the next. With each healing, my confidence grows, as does my amazement at the extent of my abilities. As I work, a realization settles over me. These Vraken, for all their power and cruelty, are the only thing standing between us humans and the dark elves. I've heard whispers of the atrocities committed by the grey-skinned beings, stories that make my blood run cold. As much as I fear the Vraken, I fear the alternative even more. As I finish healing the last of the wounded Vraken, exhaustion washes over me. I sway on my feet, barely able to stand. Suddenly, a strong arm steadies me. I look up to see Alexei, his dark eyes filled with concern. "What have you done?" he whispers, his voice a mix of awe and worry. Before I can respond, the room erupts into chaos. Fracken voices rise in a cacophony of conflicting opinions. "She's a miracle worker," one shouts. "She's dangerous," another hisses. "How do we know she won't turn these powers against us?" I shrink back, overwhelmed by their intensity. Alexei steps in front of me protectively. "Enough!" a commanding voice cuts through the din. Their leader, the first I've heard some call her, strides into the room, her presence silencing everyone instantly. Her eyes lock onto mine, and I feel naked under her scrutiny. "Bring her with me," she orders. "Now." Alexei's grip on my arm tightens as he leads me out. The walk to the small meeting area is a blur. My mind races, trying to process everything that's happened. What have I done? Have I just made things worse for myself and the other humans? The Vracken stand in a small circle as we approach, their eyes gleaming in as Alexei drags me forward, just shy of the centre. The first stands in the middle, turning her black and silver-flecked eyes on me. "Explain yourself," she demands. I take a deep breath, willing my voice not to shake. I discovered I had these abilities recently. When I saw you're wounded, I knew I could help. I had to try." Murmurs ripple through the council. A tall Vracken with midnight black wings leans forward. "And why would you help us, human? What do you gain?" I meet his gaze steadily. "Because it was the right thing to do, and because you're the only thing standing between us and the dark elves." This statement causes an uproar. Some Vracken nod approvingly, while others snarl in disagreement. "She could be an invaluable asset," one argues. "Imagine having a healer of her caliber on the battlefield." "Or she could be our downfall," another counters. "What if she decides to use these powers against us? We can't trust a human." The debate rages on, my fate hanging in the balance. I stand there, heart pounding, acutely aware of Alexei's presence behind me. His proximity is both comforting and unsettling. Finally, the first raises her hand, silencing the crowd. Her piercing gaze fixes on me once more. "You've stirred quite the controversy, little human," she says, her voice cold and calculating. "The question now is, what are we going to do with you?" Her eyes dart to Alexei. "Take her back." More arguing ensues, but Alexei's hand, still wrapped around my arm, pulls me back through the circle. He's leaving them to debate my life. Alexei's grip on my arm loosens as we move away from the Vracken Council. Instead of leading me back to the human encampment, he steers me towards the nearby woods. My heart races, unsure of his intentions. "Where are we going?" I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. He doesn't answer, just continues to guide me through the dense foliage. The sounds of the Vracken settlement fade behind us, replaced by the rustling of leaves and the soft crunch of twigs beneath our feet. After a few minutes, I hear the gentle babbling of water. We emerge into a small clearing where a crystal-clear stream winds its way through the trees. Alexei finally releases my arm and gestures towards the water. "You should clean up," he says, his voice softer than I've ever heard it. I look down at myself, suddenly aware of the blood staining my hands and clothes. The sight makes my stomach churn. Without hesitation, I kneel by the stream and plunge my hands into the cool water. The blood swirls away, leaving my skin clean, but my mind still reeling from the events of the day. As I scrub at my arms and face, I can feel Alexei's eyes on me. I glance up at him, curiosity overcoming my fear. "Why are you doing this?" I ask. "Why help me?" He's silent for a moment, his expression unreadable. Then, to my surprise, he kneels beside me at the water's edge. "You did the right thing back there," he says. "Healing our wounded. It was brave. Foolish, perhaps, but brave. I wanted to thank you. His words catch me off guard. I've never heard a Vrakan express gratitude to a human before. I thank you for keeping my secret for so long, I reply, remembering how he'd witnessed my magical outburst during the Dark Elf attack but hadn't reported it. Our eyes meet, and suddenly the air between us feels charged. Alexei moves closer, his hand reaching out to brush a strand of wet hair from my face. My breath catches in my throat at his touch. Alina, he murmurs, his voice low and intense. Before I can respond, he leans in and presses his lips to mine. The kiss is unlike anything I've ever known. I melt into Alexei, a moan escaping my lips, and something in him snaps. He jerks away, eyes searching mine, a whisper of my name on his lips. Alina. I see the question there, the hesitation. But I want this. I want him.
Sorry for the interruption. I know you were gearing up for a steamy scene, but it's way too hot for this platform.
If we want to keep sharing our stories for free, we have to abide by this platform's guidelines.
To get the full unabridged audiobook, go to worldsofprothika.com.
Browse through unabridged audiobooks, countless ebooks and bundles offered at a discount.
If the thought of me whispering all the dirty details into your ear isn't enticing enough, use discount code YouTube30 to get 30% off of all digital products.
Story after story, audiobook after audiobook, the worlds of Prothika are waiting for you.
Prothika's magic is eternal.
But unabridged, it's unforgettable.
Chapter 9. Alexei. I stand before Brynda and Raziel, their piercing gazes boring into me. The weight of their scrutiny feels heavier than the armor I wore in battle. Your performance was exemplary, Alexei, Brynda says, her fiery red curls seeming to dance with an otherworldly energy. The way you anticipated the Dark Elves' movements, it was impressive. Raziel nods, his dark eyes unreadable. We're promoting you to lead your own battalion. Your strategic mind will be invaluable as we continue to establish our foothold here. These two have been very close to Nyx. They're like her advisors, and for them to see me, to think I am doing well. Pride swells in my chest, but it's quickly tempered by the stern set of their jaws. However, Raziel continues, his voice dropping to a low, dangerous tone. We've noticed your interactions with the human girl. My body tenses. I fight to keep my expression neutral, but I can feel my fangs lengthening with stress. Brynda's wings rustle as she leans forward. Alexei, you must understand. Getting close to a human is dangerous, not just for you, but for all of us. She's different, I argue before I can stop myself. Her magical abilities are precisely why she's so dangerous, Raziel cuts in. We can't risk her influencing you or any other Vrakan. Our survival depends on maintaining clear boundaries. I clench my fists, struggling to contain the conflicting emotions raging within me. The taste of Alina's skin lingers on my lips, the memory of her warmth against me threatening to overwhelm my senses. Your loyalty must be to your own kind, Brynda says, her tone softening slightly. We've all made sacrifices. Don't let your human past cloud your judgment now. I nod stiffly, not trusting myself to speak. The promotion should fill me with satisfaction, but all I feel is a gnawing emptiness. As I turn to leave, Raziel's voice stops me. Remember, Alexei, humans are food, tools at best, nothing more. The words hit me like a physical blow. I manage a curt nod before striding out, my mind in turmoil. Away from them, I try to steady my breathing. The scent of blood and magic hangs heavy in the air, a constant reminder of the war raging around us, of my place in this new world. But Alina's face flashes in my mind, her amber eyes alight with curiosity and determination. The way she looked at me, not with fear, but with understanding. How can I reconcile these feelings with my duty to the Vrakan? I move without thinking, and I'm not surprised when I find myself outside the humans' area. I let their humanity weigh my mind further. I stand in the shadows, watching the humans huddled together in their makeshift enclosure. Their fear is palpable, a scent that used to excite me but now turns my stomach. As I approach, they shrink back, eyes wide with terror. My gaze falls on a young man, barely out of his teens. His trembling reminds me of myself, not so long ago. The memory of my own transformation hits me like a punch to the gut. The searing pain, the overwhelming hunger, the horrifying realization that I was no longer human. I grab the boy's arm, trying to be gentle but knowing it doesn't matter. His pulse races beneath my fingers as I bring his wrist to my mouth. I hesitate, meeting his terrified eyes. "I'm sorry," I whisper, though I know it means nothing to him. At least I learned how to make it painless for them, even if it doesn't take away the memories. As my fangs pierce his skin, I'm assaulted by flashes of my own past. The confusion and fear as I woke up changed. The revulsion at my first taste of human blood. The gradual acceptance of my new reality. But was it acceptance? Or just survival? I pull away, leaving the boy weak, but alive. As I move through the crowd, selecting my next victim, I can't shake the growing unease in my chest. We're doing to these humans exactly what was done to us. Is this really the only way? My eyes search for Alina among the captives, relief flooding through me when I spot her huddled in a corner. I've made sure she's left alone, using my newfound authority to keep her safe. But for how long? The taste of blood fills my mouth, but it brings no satisfaction. Only questions. Are we any better than the dark elves we're fighting? We claim to need humans for survival, but at what cost? I finish feeding, my body humming with renewed strength even as my mind reels. As I turn to leave, Alina catches my eye. There's no fear in her gaze, only a mixture of curiosity and... is that concern? For a moment I allow myself to imagine a different future, one where humans and Vraken coexist, where transformation is a choice, not a sentence. But as quickly as the thought forms, I push it away. Such ideas are dangerous, especially now. I force myself to look away from Alina, from the hope and possibility she represents. I have a war to fight, a people to protect. But as I walk away, I can't help but wonder. At what point does survival become tyranny? I stand on the battlements, surveying the aftermath of another Dark Elf attack. We've been striking one another, over and over, now locked in a battle for control of these lands. The air reeks of blood and scorched flesh. Our losses are mounting, and whispers of doubt ripple through our ranks. "Alexei!" Brenda's voice cuts through the chaos. "We need more soldiers, now?" I nod grimly, knowing what she means. My stomach churns as I make my way to the human enclosure. Their fear hits me like a wave, but I steel myself. This is war. This is survival. I select 5 humans, strong, healthy specimens. As I lead them away, Alina catches my eye. The disappointment in her gaze cuts deeper than any blade. The changing process is brutal. I've done it before, but something feels off this time. The screams seem to last longer, the convulsions more violent. Even the numbing agent does nothing to lessen the process. When it's over, I step back, studying our new recruits. At first glance, everything seems normal. But as the first rays of dawn break over the horizon, I notice something strange. 2 of the newly changed flinch, their skin reddening slightly in the sunlight. What the hell? I mutter, moving closer to examine them. They're not weakened, not burning like they would if they were extremely weakened. But their discomfort is obvious, something I've never seen before. And then there's the 5th one. I circle him slowly, my unease growing. "Where are your wings?" I demand. He looks at me, confused and terrified. I don't know," he stammers. "This isn't right. Every Vraken I've ever seen or heard of has wings. It's part of what makes us what we are, but this one, he's wingless. Changed, but incomplete. A chill runs down my spine. Something is changing, shifting. The magic that created us, that sustains us, it's behaving differently. But why? As I lead the new recruits to be outfitted and trained, my mind races. Is it because they weren't made by the First herself? Is the magic of this world affecting our very essence? One thing is clear. We're entering uncharted territory, and I can't shake the feeling that this is just the beginning of our problems.
Chapter 10. Alina. I'm yanked from my cot in the middle of the night, rough hands gripping my arms. My heart races as I'm dragged through the Vrakan encampment. "What's going on?" I demand, but my captors remain silent. We emerge at the edge of the camp, where a circle of Vrakan await, just like before. Alina Nakamura, a tall female with intricate wing markings, addresses me. "Your magical abilities have not gone unnoticed. We require your assistance in our war efforts." I blink, stunned. I don't understand. I'm just learning to control. "You will learn quickly," she cuts me off. "The Dark Elves grow stronger by the day. We need every advantage." Before I can protest, I'm shoved towards a makeshift table. Strange artifacts litter its surface, cobbled together to make a type of map. The Vrakan begin discussing strategy, occasionally turning to me for input. "Human, what do you make of these troop movements?" one asks, pointing to a section of the map. I stare blankly. I'm a biotechnology student, not a military strategist." "But you have insight into human thinking," another argues. "And your magic, it's unpredictable, yes, but powerful. We can use that." Hours pass in a blur of tactical discussions and magical demonstrations. They force me to channel my power into various objects, watching with keen interest as the results vary wildly. Sometimes nothing happens. Other times the object explodes in a shower of sparks. My head pounds from the strain, but they push me relentlessly. I catch glimpses of Alexei hovering at the edges of the crowd, his expression unreadable. When our eyes meet, he quickly looks away. As dawn approaches, the female leader turns to me. "You will remain here, under guard. Your training begins immediately." "But," I start to protest. "This is not a request," she says coldly. "You are now a valuable asset in this war. Your cooperation is expected." I'm taken to a lone tent on the opposite side of the encampment as the other humans. Inside, I slump to the ground, exhausted and overwhelmed. My world has shifted yet again, and I find myself longing for the relative simplicity of the human encampment. I wonder how I'll survive this new chapter in my strange journey on Protheca. The events of the past few hours replay in an endless loop. My fists clench as anger bubbles up inside me. But then the flap of the tent rustles and Alexei steps in. His face is a mask of concern, but I can't bring myself to care. "Alina, don't," I snap, cutting him off. "Where were you? Why didn't you stop them?" He takes a step towards me, hands raised placatingly. "I couldn't interfere. Nix's decision was—" "Bull!" I spit out. "You're one of them. You could have said something, done something." Alexei's jaw clenches. It's not that simple. There are rules, protocols. "Rules?" I laugh bitterly. "You didn't seem too concerned about rules when you were sneaking around with me." His eyes flash with hurt, but I'm too angry to care. I thought we had something. I thought you cared." "I do care," Alexei insists, reaching for me. I jerk away from his touch. "If you cared, you wouldn't have let them drag me into this war. You wouldn't have stood by while they treated me like a weapon to be used." Alexei runs a hand through his hair, frustration evident in every line of his body. "Alina, please, try to understand. My position here is precarious. If I'd spoken up, it would have only made things worse for both of us. Worse than this? I gesture wildly around the tent. Worse than being forced to use magic I barely understand. Worse than being treated like a tool instead of a person. He flinches at my words, and for a moment, I see a flicker of the man I thought I knew. But then his face hardens, and he straightens his shoulders. "I'm sorry you feel that way," he says stiffly, "but this is our reality now. We're at war, Alina. Personal feelings can't come before the survival of our people." "Your people," I correct him coldly, "not mine." We stare at each other, the distance between us suddenly feeling insurmountable. The connection we'd forged, the tender moments we'd shared, all of it seems to crumble in the face of this betrayal. He opens his mouth to say more, but then a voice snaps from outside. "Alexei!" He looks between the tent flap and me, and I wave him off. "Leave." He gives me one last conflicted look before ducking out of the tent. I watch Alexei's back as he leaves, my anger still simmering. The relative quiet lasts only a few hours before chaos erupts. "Dark elves! We're under attack!" The shout pierces the night air, followed by the clash of weapons and screams of pain. My heart races as I peek out of the tent. The camp is in turmoil, Vrakan warriors engaging with shadowy figures that seem to melt in and out of the darkness. Magic crackles through the air, setting my skin tingling. A nearby explosion sends me stumbling back. I need to do something, but what? I've never used my powers in battle before. Suddenly, a dark elf materializes in front of me, eyes glowing with malice. I react on instinct, throwing my hands up as raw energy surges through me. A blast of pure force erupts from my palms, slamming into the elf and sending him flying backwards. The rush of power is intoxicating, terrifying. I stare at my hands in disbelief. "Alina, we need you." It's the female leader from earlier, gesturing urgently. I hesitate for a split second before racing towards her. All around me the battle rages. Vrakan and dark elves locked in deadly combat, magic and steel flashing in the night. "Focus your power there," she commands, pointing to a group of elves advancing on our flank. Drawing a deep breath, I concentrate, feeling the energy build within me. When I release it, a wave of force ripples outward, knocking the elves off their feet. The Vrakan press the advantage, cutting down our stunned foes. The tide of battle shifts, but the dark elves keep coming. I lose track of time, moving from one crisis to the next. My magic responds to my will more easily now, but the cost is high. Each blast leaves me more drained, my limbs heavy with exhaustion. A piercing shriek cuts through the din. I turn to see a massive, winged creature descending from the sky, ridden by a dark elf in elaborate armour. Lightning crackles around them as they dive towards our position. "Alina, stop them!" someone yells. Gritting my teeth, I gather every ounce of power I have left. The air around me shimmers as I unleash a beam of pure energy towards the diving pair. It strikes them head-on, enveloping both rider and mount in searing light. When the glare fades, there's nothing left but ash drifting on the wind. The sight of such destruction by my own hand leaves me reeling. I drop to my knees, overwhelmed by the enormity of what I've done. The battle continues to rage around me, but I barely notice, lost in the horror of my actions. I don't know how long I kneel there before a hand on my shoulder startles me back to awareness. It's Alexei, his face streaked with blood and soot. "It's over," he says softly. "We've won." I look around, taking in the aftermath of the battle. The ground is scorched and littered with bodies. The air reeks of smoke and death, and I played a part in all of it. "What have I done?" I whisper, my voice breaking. Chapter 11. Alina. The ground trembles beneath my feet as the Vrakan forces gather. I stand at the centre, surrounded by other humans who've discovered their magical abilities. The air crackles with tension and raw power. "Remember your training," a gruff Vrakan commander barks. "Work together, amplify each other's strengths." I nod, trying to quell the nausea rising in my throat. This isn't some small skirmish. It's a full-scale assault that could determine the fate of this war, and I'm expected to be a key player. The first wave of dark elves crashes against our lines like a tide of shadow and malice. Magic erupts all around me as my fellow humans unleash their powers. Bolts of lightning, walls of flame, gusts of wind. The elements themselves seem to bend to our will. I focus, drawing on the wellspring of energy within me. It surges through my body, making my skin tingle and my hair stand on end. With a cry, I release a shockwave of pure force that sends a group of charging elves flying backward. "Good!" shouts Alina, another human magic user beside me. "Now let's try combining our powers." We clasp hands, and I feel her energy intertwining with mine. Together, we create a swirling vortex of wind and force that tears through the enemy ranks. The devastation we cause is both exhilarating and terrifying. The battle rages on, a chaotic storm of magic and violence. I lose track of time, moving from one crisis to the next. My powers respond more easily now, but each blast leaves me more drained. Sweat pours down my face, and my muscles scream with fatigue. A piercing shriek cuts through the din. I look up to see a massive winged creature descending from the sky, ridden by a dark elf in elaborate armour. Lightning crackles around them as they dive towards our position. "Alina!" Alina yells. "We need to stop that thing." Gritting my teeth, I gather every ounce of power I have left. Alina grabs my hand, and I feel the other magic users around us doing the same. Our energies merge, building to a crescendo that makes the very air vibrate. With a collective shout, we unleash a beam of pure, concentrated magic towards the diving pair. It strikes them head-on, enveloping both rider and mount in searing light. When the glare fades, there's nothing left but ash drifting on the wind. The sight of such destruction leaves me reeling. I stagger, nearly collapsing as the magnitude of what we've just done hits me. But there's no time to process it. The battle still rages, and our side is pressing the advantage. The raw power surges through me, a torrent of energy that threatens to tear me apart. My body trembles, every nerve ending alight with sensation. I've never felt anything like this before. It's terrifying and intoxicating all at once. I raise my hands, and the air around me shimmers with potential. With a thought, I conjure a swirling vortex of wind and lightning. It dances between my fingertips, eager to be unleashed. The sheer magnitude of what I'm capable of is staggering. "Alina, on your left!" Eleanor shouts. I turn, seeing a group of dark elves charging towards us. Without hesitation, I release the storm I've created. It roars across the battlefield, picking up speed and intensity. The elves are swept off their feet, their bodies crackling with electricity as they're tossed like ragdolls. A laugh bubbles up from my chest, wild and unrestrained. Is this how gods feel? The rush is indescribable, a high beyond anything I've ever experienced. For a moment, I forget about the horror of war, lost in the pure ecstasy of wielding such incredible power. But then I see the aftermath. The elves lie broken and smouldering on the ground, their limbs twisted at unnatural angles. The smell of burned flesh reaches my nostrils, and my stomach lurches. Did I do this? How easily I snuffed out their lives, as if they were nothing more than insects. My hands shake as I lower them, bile rising in my throat. The exhilaration is still there, humming beneath my skin, but now it's tainted with revulsion. I'm horrified by how good it felt, how easily I slipped into the role of destroyer. "Keep it together," I mutter to myself, trying to regain focus. But the image of those broken bodies is seared into my mind. I've become something I never thought possible, a weapon of mass destruction. The realization is as terrifying as it is thrilling. The magic courses through me, a relentless torrent of power that both exhilarates and terrifies. I've lost count of how many spells I've cast, how many lives I've ended or saved. The battlefield blurs into a chaotic mess of blood, smoke, and crackling energy. But something's wrong. My body screams in protest with each new surge of magic. My muscles spasm, and a dull ache spreads from my core to my extremities. I grit my teeth, pushing through the pain. There are still so many people to protect, Vraken and humans alike caught in this nightmare. "Alina, we need cover!" Elena shouts, her voice hoarse from exertion. I nod, raising my trembling hands. The air shimmers as I weave a protective barrier around our group. The effort sends shockwaves of agony through my body. I gasp, nearly losing my concentration. "Are you okay?" Elena asks, concern etched on her dirt-streaked face. "I'm fine," I lie, forcing a smile. "Just tired. But I'm far from fine. Each spell feels like it's tearing me apart from the inside. My vision blurs, and I taste copper in my mouth. Is this the price of wielding such power? Am I burning myself up from within?" A group of dark elves breaks through our lines, heading straight for a cluster of injured Vraken. Without thinking, I unleash a blast of pure force. The elves go flying, but the backlash hits me like a physical blow. I double over, coughing violently. When I pull my hand away from my mouth, it's speckled with blood. "Alina!" Elena cries, rushing to my side. I wave her off, straightening up despite the protest of every nerve in my body. "We can't stop now," I rasp. "Too many people are counting on us." The battle rages on, and I push myself beyond what I thought possible. Each spell is a struggle, my body rebelling against the constant abuse. But I can't give up. I won't. Not when I see the fear in the eyes of the humans we're protecting, or the grudging respect from the Vraken who fight alongside us. My world narrows to a series of moments, casting, pain, brief respite, then casting again. I lose all sense of time, existing only in this cycle of agony and desperate action. But even as my body fails, my resolve strengthens. I will not let this war claim any more innocent lives, no matter the cost to myself. I gasp for breath, my legs trembling beneath me. The magic that once flowed so easily now feels like molten lead in my veins. Sweat stings my eyes as I struggle to maintain the protective barrier around our group. "They're coming!" Elena shouts, her voice tinged with panic. I look up, my heart sinking. A wave of dark elves surges towards us, their eyes gleaming with malice. I try to summon another burst of power, but my body rebels. Pain lances through me, and I stagger, nearly falling to my knees. "Alina, we need you!" someone cries. I grit my teeth, forcing myself to stand straight. With a hoarse cry, I unleash what little magic I have left. A feeble shockwave ripples out, barely slowing the advancing elves. "No," I whisper, horror dawning as I realize my power is spent. The dark elves sense my weakness. Their assault intensifies, focusing on my position. Spells crackle through the air, slamming into my weakening barrier. Each impact sends jolts of agony through my body. "Fall back!" I yell to the others, knowing I can't hold out much longer. But it's too late. My shield shatters with a sound like breaking glass. The backlash sends me sprawling to the ground, my ears ringing. I try to push myself up, but my arms give out. The dark elves are upon us now, their weapons raised for the killing blow. I look around desperately, searching for help, but our forces are scattered and overwhelmed. This is it, I realize with terrifying clarity. I'm going to die here, on this alien world, so far from everything I've ever known.
Prothika is a dark and dangerous world.
My parents sold me to the dark market.
I am the avatar of chaos, and nothing will stop me from fulfilling the prophecy.
And the quest for godhood has made it even darker.
Looks like you're the only one left. Take a step forward.
Delia only seeks her freedom,
A gilded cage is still a cage.
but Thorn has something else in mind for her.
It's her. She's the woman from the prophecy. My key to godhood.
Will they be able to escape their fate? Get every episode from worldsofprothika.com right now. Get the series bundle and score a 70% discount. Prothika's magic is eternal, and this series is just the beginning.
Chapter 12. Alexei. I'm in the thick of the battle, my wings carrying me swiftly above the chaos. The clash of steel and screams of the wounded fill the air. My hands are slick with blood, both mine and my enemies. I've lost count of how many dark elves I've dispatched. Suddenly, a jolt of fear pierces through me. It's not my own. Alina. I whip my head around, searching for her. There in the distance, I see her surrounded by a swarm of dark elves. Her magic flickers weakly around her. Brynda! Cover the eastern flank! I roar, already diving towards Alina. A dark elf leaps at me, blade glinting. I twist mid-air, narrowly avoiding the strike. My fist connects with his jaw, sending him plummeting to the ground. Get out of my way, I snarl, dispatching another with a quick slash of my claws. The bond between Alina and me, one I've noticed but not wanted to acknowledge, pulses with her fear and exhaustion. She's fading fast. I push myself harder, my wings straining with the effort. A group of dark elves spots me coming. They form a wall determined to keep me from her. Rage boils in my veins. I summon every ounce of my newfound magic, feeling it crackle along my skin. Move or die, I growl. They charge. I meet them head-on, a whirlwind of claws and magic. One falls, then another. A blade slices my arm, but I barely feel it. Nothing matters except getting to Alina. I break through their line, leaving a trail of broken bodies behind me. Alina's on her knees now, her magic sputtering weakly as a dark elf raises his sword for the killing blow. No! The word tears from my throat as I hurl myself forward. I crash into the dark elf, sending us both tumbling. His sword clatters away. We grapple, rolling in the blood-soaked mud. He's strong, but I'm stronger. I pin him down, fangs bared. You picked the wrong day! I growl, then tear out his throat. I leap to my feet, scanning for Alina. She's collapsed, her skin ashen. I scoop her into my arms, cradling her against my chest. Stay with me, I murmur, feeling for a pulse. It's there, but weak. A Vrakan soldier lands nearby, nostrils flaring. His eyes lock onto Alina, hunger clear in his gaze. Back off, I snarl, pulling her closer. He takes a step forward. She's dying anyway. Let me... I don't let him finish. My fist connects with his jaw, sending him sprawling. Anyone else want to try? I roar, challenging the circling Vrakan. They hesitate, torn between their hunger and fear of me. I use their indecision, launching into the air. Alina's limp in my arms, her breathing shallow. Hold on, Alina! I plead, wings straining as I race back to camp. A dark elf archer spots us. His arrow whizzes past too close. I dive, weaving to avoid the next volley. Alina groans weakly, the movement jostling her. Sorry, I mutter, banking hard to avoid another arrow. We're almost there. The Vrakan camp looms ahead, a beacon of safety, but the scent of Alina's blood has drawn attention. More Vrakan converge on us, their eyes wild with bloodlust. I land hard, stumbling, but keeping Alina secure. A ring of Vrakan surrounds us, closing in. She needs help, I growl, backing towards the medical tent. Stand down! One lunges. I kick him away, my wings flaring protectively around Alina. Another grabs for her. I twist, slamming my elbow into his face. I said, stand down! I roar, letting my magic flare visibly. They falter, some backing away, but a few press forward, driven mad by the scent of her blood. I fight my way through, one arm holding Alina, the other lashing out at anyone who gets too close. My own hunger gnaws at me, Alina's scent intoxicating. But I push it down, focusing on getting her to safety. Finally, we burst into the medical tent. Healers rush forward, taking Alina from my arms. I stagger, the adrenaline fading. "Save her," I order, then collapse to my knees, exhausted but vigilant. It doesn't take long for the battle to wind down after that. Frackin' limping in. I want to be by Alina's side, but instead, I stand before Nyx and Raziel, my body still caked in mud and blood from the battle. The adrenaline has long since faded, leaving me bone-weary, but I force myself to stand tall, meeting their gazes unflinchingly. "What were you thinking, Alexei?" Nyx's voice is cold, her black eyes swirling with silver as she glares at me. I clench my jaw. "I was saving a valuable asset." Raziel scoffs, his dark wings rustling. "An asset? You abandoned your post for a human?" "A human with immense magical power," I counter. "One who's been helping our wounded and fighting alongside us." "She's still just a human," Nyx says, her voice dangerously soft. "And you're a Vrakan commander. You had a duty." The words sting, but I don't let it show. My duty is to ensure our victory. Alina's magic has been crucial in turning the tide of battle. Losing her would have been a significant blow. "And the soldiers under your command?" Raziel asks, his eyes narrowing. "What of your duty to them?" Guilt gnaws at me, but I push it down. I made a tactical decision. Brynda took over my position. We didn't lose ground. "But we didn't gain any either," Nyx snaps. "This battle ended in a stalemate, Alexei. Do you understand what that means? We're running out of time and resources. We can't afford draws." I take a deep breath, steeling myself. I stand by my decision. Alina is an asset worth protecting, both for her magic and for the morale of the other humans. Losing her would have been devastating. Nyx and Raziel exchange a look. There's something in their eyes I can't quite read. "You're getting too close to her, Alexei," Raziel says finally. "It's clouding your judgment." I open my mouth to protest, but Nyx cuts me off. "We've seen how you look at her, how you protect her. This isn't just about strategy anymore, is it?" My heart pounds. I want to deny it, but the words stick in my throat. Because they're right. Alina has become more than just an asset to me. The thought of losing her... My feelings don't change the fact that she's valuable to our cause, I say carefully. Nyx sighs, pinching the bridge of her nose. "Alexia, you're one of our best. We can't have you compromised by a human girl." "I'm not compromised," I insist, even as doubt gnaws at me. "I'm still committed to our people, to our cause." Nyx studies me for a long moment, then nods. "You're dismissed, Alexei. Get some rest. We'll need you at your best for the next battle." I bow stiffly and turn to leave, my mind racing. But before I can make it too far, Nyx's voice calls out. "And Alexei, remember what you are, what she is. Don't let yourself forget the difference." I don't turn back, just nod once and walk away from them. My feet carry me towards the medical area before I can stop myself. I need to see Alina, to make sure she's okay. I don't know what I'll do if she's not. Chapter 13. Alexei. I pace outside the medical area, my hands clenched into fists. The healers won't let me in, saying Alina needs rest, but I can sense her pain, feel it thrumming through our connection. I still can't let myself think about what that connection is. "Let me see her," I growl at the guard, my patience wearing thin. He shifts nervously. "I can't." I grab him by the collar, lifting him off his feet. "Move, now!" He stumbles aside and I burst into the tented area. The smell hits me first. Sweat, blood, and the acrid scent of magic gone wrong. My eyes lock onto Alina's still form on a cot in the corner. "Damn," I breathe, rushing to her side. She's pale, her skin almost translucent. Dark veins spider across her face and arms, pulsing with an unnatural light. Her breathing is shallow, each inhale a painful rasp. "What's happening to her?" I demand, rounding on the nearest healer. The Vrakan woman flinches. "The magic! It's too much for her human body. It's consuming her from the inside out." I grip the edge of the cot, my knuckles turning white. "Fix it," I snarl. "We're trying, but—" Alina's body suddenly convulses, her back arching off the cot. A scream tears from her throat, raw and agonized. Magic crackles around her, lashing out wildly. I reach for her instinctively, ignoring the burn of her power against my skin. "Alina," I call, desperate. "Alina, stay with me." Her eyes fly open, unfocused and glowing with an eerie light. She doesn't seem to see me, lost in some inner hell. "Do something!" I roar at the healers. They scramble around us, muttering incantations and applying salves. But nothing seems to help. Alina's convulsions grow worse, her screams more frequent. I feel helpless, watching her suffer. My own magic surges, wanting to help but not knowing how. I've never felt so powerless. There's only one way to save her. I turn my head to study the head healer, Era. She needs to be changed. I tear myself away from Alina's bedside, my mind reeling. The healer's words echo in my head. A death sentence I can't accept. "There has to be another way," I growl, pacing the length of the tent. Era shakes her head. "The magic is consuming her mortal form. It's too much, too fast. Her only chance is to become one of us." I whirl on her, fangs bared. "You can't be serious." "It's that or watch her die," Ira says, her voice maddeningly calm. Images flash through my mind, the searing pain of my own transformation, the hunger that followed, the loss of everything I once was. I remember the agony, the feeling of my humanity being ripped away. "No!" I choke out. "I won't put her through that!" Ira's dark eyes bore into mine. "Then you condemn her to death." Another scream from Alina cuts through the air and I flinch. The magic crackles around her, visible now. A storm of power with her fragile human body at its center. "Damn it," I mutter, running a hand through my hair. "There has to be something else we can do. Some way to contain the magic or—" "There isn't," Era interrupts. "We've tried everything. The change is her only hope." I look back at Alina, writhing in pain on the cot. The dark veins have spread further, pulsing with sickly light. She's barely recognizable now, consumed by the very power that saved her life. The memory of my own transformation rises unbidden. The burning in my veins, the feeling of my body tearing itself apart and reforming. The hunger afterward, all-consuming and terrifying. The loss of my humanity, my connections, my entire world. But as I watch Alina suffer, I realize the alternative is worse. I can't let her die. Not like this. I stare at Alina's writhing form, my mind a storm of conflicting thoughts. The decision before me is impossible, a choice between two unbearable outcomes. "She didn't ask for this," I mutter, more to myself than anyone else. "She didn't choose to become one of us." Era's voice is soft but firm. She didn't choose to die either. I clench my fists, feeling my nails dig into my palms. The pain grounds me, helps me focus. But who am I to make this choice for her? To fundamentally change everything she is? "You're the one who cares for her," Ira says. "The one who can save her life." I close my eyes, remembering Alina's smile, her curiosity, her fierce determination. The way her eyes lit up when she discovered something new about her magic. The warmth of her skin against mine. "If I do this," I say slowly, "she'll never be the same. She'll lose her humanity, her connection to her old life. She'll become like us." Another scream tears through the air, and I flinch. When I open my eyes, Alina's back is arched off the cot, her body contorted in agony. "Damn it!" I growl. The sight of her suffering tears at something deep inside me. I can't bear to watch her in pain any longer. With a heavy heart, I nod to Era. "I'll do it, but not here." I lift Alina in my arms, ignoring the burn of her out-of-control magic. "I'm sorry," I whisper, pressing my forehead to hers. "I hope you can forgive me for this." As I carry us out into the forest, away from the moaning and cries of the others, I silently pray to Akaldama, to whatever powers might be listening, that I'm making the right choice. That Alina will understand why I had to do this. That someday she'll forgive me for changing her very nature and saving her. Because I just can't let her go.
Earth is pretty much a desolate wasteland since the orcs came over from Prothika, and being a woman, the best you can hope is to be someone's property. Now, after my curvy body catches Korthar's eye, he'll claim me, and I'll serve him, in any way he pleases.
You're mine now. Listen to this story and more when you get the complete Orc Warriors of Prothika audiobook and ebook bundle.
40 books, 19 audiobooks, 19 ebooks. You even get 1 free novella and 1 free audiobook.
All for a shocking 90% off.
Prothika's magic is eternal, and the complete Orc Warriors of Prothika bundle will bring over 100 hours of that magic to you. Chapter 14. Alina. I drift in and out of consciousness, my body racked with waves of intense sensation. One moment, searing pain courses through my veins like liquid fire. The next, a rush of euphoria floods my senses, leaving me gasping. My mind struggles to make sense of what's happening. Everything feels heightened, amplified beyond normal human limits. Sounds that should be distant echo in my ears, as if right beside me. Scents I've never noticed before assault my nose, overwhelming and intoxicating. My skin prickles and burns, feeling as if it's being peeled away and reshaped. Bones crack and reform, muscles tear and regrow. I want to scream but can't find my voice. The worst pain concentrates in my back. It feels like my spine is trying to burst through my skin. The agony builds to a crescendo until I'm certain I'll be ripped in two. Then, with a sickening tearing sound, my back splits open. I fade in and out, unable to maintain consciousness through the onslaught of sensations. In brief moments of lucidity, I catch glimpses of concerned faces hovering over me. But everything blurs together in a kaleidoscope of pain and transformation. My mind reels, desperately trying to process what's happening. But it's too much. Wave after wave of change crashes over me, dragging me under. I lose all sense of time and self, adrift in an ocean of sensation. I'm drowning in a sea of memories, each one crashing over me like a relentless wave. Munich streets unfold before my eyes, the smell of fresh pretzels, the chiming of church bells. I'm a child again, running through the English garden, my parents' laughter echoing behind me. The scene shifts. I'm hunched over textbooks in the university library, the familiar excitement of scientific discovery coursing through me. Formulas and theories dance across my vision, a reminder of the life I once knew. Suddenly, I'm in Greece. The warm Mediterranean breeze caresses my skin, but the peaceful moment shatters as terror grips me. A Vrakan appears, his wings blocking out the sun. I relive the horror of my abduction, the disorientation of waking up on an alien world. But then, Alexei. His steel blue eyes pierce through the chaos of my memories. I see him guarding the human encampment, our first tentative conversations. The way he looked at me when I first used magic. The feel of his skin against mine during our intimate moments. A rush of emotion floods through me. I realize that despite everything, the fear, the anger, the confusion, I'm grateful for meeting him. He's become my anchor in this strange new world, I want to tell him I forgive him, that I understand that he is not at fault for my involvement in the war effort. I would have volunteered anyway, to protect both humans and Vraken. I want him to know that I've fallen for him, that my heart belongs to him now. But the words won't come. My body is on fire, every cell screaming as it transforms. I can't speak, can't move. Darkness creeps at the edges of my vision, and a terrifying thought grips me. What if I'm dying? What if I never get the chance to tell Alexei how I feel? The pain intensifies, and I slip deeper into the abyss. Alexei's face is the last thing I see before consciousness fades completely. I groan, every muscle in my body screaming in protest as I try to move. How long have I been out? Hours? Days? The concept of time feels fuzzy, slipping through my grasp like sand. My eyelids feel impossibly heavy, but I force them open. The world swims into focus, blurry at first. I blink rapidly, trying to clear my vision. Gradually, shapes begin to form. Trees. Yes, I'm sure those are trees. And there, a figure beside me. Alexei. Alexei, I rasp, my voice barely above a whisper. My throat feels raw, as if I've been screaming for hours. I hear his voice, but the words are muffled, indistinct. It's like I'm underwater, sounds distorted and distant. But even though I can't make out what he's saying, I can feel him. His emotions wash over me in waves. Worry, pain, and love so intense it takes my breath away. The connection is overwhelming. It's as if his feelings are my own, intertwined so deeply I can't tell where I end and he begins. The sensation is both terrifying and exhilarating. Despite the lingering pain radiating through my body, I'm overcome with a desperate need to be closer to him. I want to lose myself in his embrace, to have him erase this pain and confusion. My fingers twitch, trying to reach for him. Alexei, I manage again, a little stronger this time. I need him to understand, to know that I feel it too, this inexplicable bond between us. I need you. I'm here. I can hear him now, but it sounds muffled. I'm right here. It hurts, I whimper. Make it stop. Make me feel good. His hand brushes over my face. I can feel that now. I don't know how. Make love to me, I blurt out. Nothing has ever felt so right, so perfect as when he held me. Alina. The hesitation is clear, and I force my eyes open to look at him. Please, I beg. I need it. I suck in deep lungfuls of air as it feels like my lungs catch fire. Please.
As much as Samara and I want to finish what these two characters have started, it looks like this chapter is about to get too hot for this platform to handle.
Unfortunately, we have to pause here because their guidelines won't allow us to reveal the spiciest details.
To keep bringing you these free audiobooks, we have to follow their rules.
But don't worry. You can experience the full, unabridged version over at worldsofprothika.com, where the boundaries of passion and fantasy collide.
Use code YouTube30 for 30% off any of our unabridged audiobooks set in the rich and immersive worlds of Prothika.
Prothika's magic is eternal.
With these scenes, it will be unforgettable.
Chapter 15. Alina. I wake with a gasp, my eyes flying open. The world around me explodes into vivid detail, overwhelming my senses. The rough feel of grass beneath me feels like sandpaper against my hypersensitive skin. I can hear the faintest whisper of wind above me, the rustling of leaves all around me. The scent of earth and water floods my nostrils, along with 1,000 other smells I can't even begin to identify. My head spins as I try to process this sensory overload. I blink rapidly, my vision adjusting to reveal colours I've never seen before, shades that don't even have names. The space around me is familiar, yet completely alien at the same time. I lift my hand to my face and freeze. My skin is pale, almost translucent, with a faint shimmer that catches the light. My fingers are longer, more elegant. I flex my hand, marveling at the strength I feel coursing through my body. Slowly I sit up, my movements unnaturally fluid, and I look down at my transformed body. My curves are more pronounced, my muscles lean and defined. But it's the wings that make me gasp. They unfurl from my back, iridescent and beautiful, yet terrifying in their otherness. What am I? I whisper, my voice sounding strange to my own ears. It's melodic, almost hypnotic, nothing like the voice I remember. I roll forward, standing on shaky feet. My balance feels off, my centre of gravity shifted by the weight of my wings. I take a tentative step forward, marvelling at the grace of my movements. The stream next to me calls me, and I approach it slowly, both eager and afraid to see my reflection. The face that stares back at me is both familiar and foreign. My features are sharper, more defined. My eyes, once a warm amber, now glow with an otherworldly light. My hair, still black, seems to shimmer with an inner fire. I reach out to touch the water, my fingers trembling. This is me now, I murmur, a mix of awe and horror washing over me. I'm beautiful, yes, but in a way that's almost terrifying. I look dangerous, predatory. A sob catches in my throat as the full weight of my transformation hits me. I'm no longer human. I'm something else entirely. A Vraken, the very creatures I once feared. Alina? I spin around at the sound of my name, my newly heightened senses immediately zeroing in on Alexei. He stands a few feet away, his eyes wide with a mix of relief and apprehension. Without thinking, I launch myself at him. My new strength surprises me as I collide with his chest, but Alexei catches me effortlessly, his arms wrapping around me in a tight embrace. I'm so glad you're okay, he murmurs into my hair, his voice thick with emotion. I pull back slightly, meeting his gaze. Alexei, I'm sorry. I never should have been mad at you for my involvement in the war. You were just trying to protect me. His eyes search mine, relief washing over his features. You have no idea how much that means to me, Alina. As I look at him, a whirlwind of emotions churns inside me. Gratitude for saving my life wars with anger at being changed without my consent. I open my mouth, trying to find the words to express this internal conflict. I understand why you did it, I finally manage, my voice barely above a whisper. You saved my life. But Alexei, it's overwhelming. I'm not human anymore. You've changed everything about me. Alexei's face falls, guilt clouding his features. I know. I'm sorry, Alina. I couldn't bear to lose you. I had to make a choice, and I chose your life over everything else. I nod slowly, still grappling with the enormity of what's happened. I get it. I do. It's a lot to process. Everything feels different. I feel different. I take a deep breath, steeling myself for what I'm about to say. Alexei, I'm glad you gave me the chance to keep living, because I never got the chance to tell you something important. My heart races, the new sensations of my Vraken body amplifying every emotion. I love you. Alexei's eyes widen, shock written across his face. For a moment I fear I've made a mistake, but then his expression transforms into a radiant grin. Before I can react, he pulls me close, crushing his lips against mine in a bruising kiss. The intensity of the kiss takes my breath away. Every nerve in my body feels alive, hyper-aware of his touch. When we finally break apart, both of us breathing heavily, Alexei cups my face in his hands. Alina, he says, his voice rough with emotion. I've loved you since I first saw you. I could feel it deep in my bones. You were mine. My heart soars at his words. I lean in, capturing his lips in another passionate kiss. As we embrace, I feel something else. A connection between us that goes beyond the physical. It's as if I can sense his emotions, his very essence. Pulling back slightly, I look into his eyes, confused. Alexei, what is this? I can feel something between us. A bond. Alexei's gaze softens, a look of wonder crossing his face. I feel it too, he murmurs. Then, with a note of awe in his voice, he says, Alina, I think we were fated to be together. I open my mouth to say something, but then I hear shouting. Alexei must hear it too as he cocks his head. Gently, he sets me back on my feet, pulling over his shirt and tugging it over my head. It covers me like a dress, making me realize I was naked before. My new Vrakan senses amplify every shout and footfall. Alexei tenses beside me, his arm instinctively tightening around my waist. A dishevelled messenger bursts into view, chest heaving. The gods! He gasps. They're coming! My heart races, pounding so loud I'm sure everyone can hear it. The gods! Here, I whisper, fear and awe mingling in my voice. They all seemed to disappear once they pitted us against the dark elves. But they've come back. Alexei's face hardens, his jaw clenching. We need to move, he says, urgency lacing his words. He grabs my hand, pulling me towards the centre of the settlement. As we rush through the trees, I see panic etched on every face we pass. Vrakan scramble in all directions, some barking orders, others gathering weapons. The air crackles with tension and something else. Magic, I realise. Raw, potent magic that makes my skin tingle and my new wings twitch. We reach the main square where the first stands, her face a mask of determination. She's flanked by a pair of Vrakan, a red-headed woman and a man with long, wavy brown hair, their usually stoic expressions now marred by worry. What does this mean? I ask Alexei, my voice barely audible over the din. Why are the gods coming now? He shakes his head, uncertainty clouding his eyes. I don't know, but their arrival changes everything. The balance of power, the war, nothing will be the same. The first raises her hands, silencing the crowd. Prepare yourselves, she commands, her voice carrying across the square. The gods' return will reshape our world. We must be ready for whatever comes. As her words sink in, I feel a shift in the air. The magic intensifies, pressing against us like a physical force. In the distance, the sky begins to shimmer and warp. They're here, Alexei breathes, his grip on my hand tightening.